Alrighty folks, welcome to Tackle Talk Live on the Searcher. We had some requests from some of our regular customers to do a Tackle Talk Live about wahoo fishing, so we're going to do our best to cover that. We hope everybody is safe and healthy, and we're all doing fine at Team Searcher. Captain Mike Totter just made it back into town. He was staying with a friend out in Brawley for a couple months. He's back in town. And Ryan Lindon, I'm sure you saw the posting, is now a licensed captain, got his master's credential from the Coast Guard, so he is going to be getting a little bit more responsibility, so it's great to have another license available for us. Gives us some more flexibility. Captain Dan and Chef Dan has been down the last week cleaning galley benches out and putting a fresh coat of paint on and inventorying, and so we're staying a little bit busy. Captain Armando and Ryan are doing some stuff in the engine room, and we're about to start a bunk room project there to spice things up a little. And so that's the status. We're anxiously awaiting restrictions to be hopefully safely lowered so that we can get our season started. So that's what's happening with Team Searcher. Celia and Callie are still in the office regularly to take your reservations or your deposits. And so if you want to talk to them, they're available. Okay, so wahoo fishing. The theme for wahoo fishing always is shiny, sparkly, attractant colors that we're going to go over. And so there's three primary methods for catching wahoo. The first one would be trolling. We get to spot on the ridge or at Alejos Rocks would be the primary destinations for us on 7 and 8 day trips. If we were to go down there, then when we first get there, we're going to troll around and get the lay of the land and hopefully get things started with a nice big fat wahoo on the troll. And last year in the fall, Captain Mike Totter had an awesome trip, and those were on kelp patties. So that's another way of locating wahoo, is they get gathered up on kelp patties. So you troll around the kelp patty or in the vicinity of it and get stops on wahoo that way. But a lot of times it's associated with structure and current, and so trolling is a way that we get the boat stopped, and you can use heavy tackle. You're going to be using your heaviest outfit with 80 or 100 pound test. And I have some lures here that we can show you. This is a Marauder, a Yozuri Marauder. Tony the Tiger would be the color, and they come in various colors. And we got great big hooks, sharp hooks. And we've got a couple 100 pound wire leader with the appropriate crimps on it. This has got a split ring. We would probably recommend, and this is chrome, and we would recommend black, heavy black swivel. Let's see what the other lures have. But anyway, this is a large size Marauder with sharp hooks. That's one thing about wahoo fishing for whatever you're doing. If you just take a Missouri Marauder out of the package and tie it on, we would recommend your casting lures, your bombs, even your live bait hooks, that you should sharpen those things so that they're good and sharp, and these work, because wahoo have a very, very bony jaw, and so sharp hooks are one of the keys. And you can see with this one has been used and obviously works. That's the one thing about wahoo that we're going to talk about too, is safety in a little bit. But they have very, very razor sharp teeth, and so that's something to consider too. You can see by the bite marks on this plug. Holy cow. Sharp hooks, I'm bleeding. Anyway, so your 80-pound test, you know, if you're coming on a 7 or an 8-day trip, you need to have an 80-pound test outfit that you can use for trolling for wahoo. You can use it for your dropper loop setup. You could use it for a kite setup if you wanted, for bigger tuna. And so you want that 80-pound setup for trolling for wahoo. And also the boat, we have trolling outfits with lures that work, and you're more than welcome to use one of the trolling outfits that we have available for you. If you don't have a trolling outfit, but you bought a lure, we can tie your lure on our trolling outfit, and you can use that. So here's a Marauder.
How fast are you trolling?
We're trolling between 7 and 8 knots, but you know, there are times that when we're traveling before we get to the ridge, and once we're in the right water, the right temperature water, anything above 72 degrees, you know, we're trolling Marauders at 10.5 knots. And so Nomads have been the new hot wahoo lure here recently. And this is one right here, this pink one, obviously has had some bites. We got sharp hooks again. And this thing with this plastic blade on the front of it makes it so that it dives. And there's a big old Rapala too that would be an option as well. So this Nomad obviously worked. Lots of bites. And here's that big heavy black swivel that we're talking about there. And you're using your 80-pound test. So this is 200-pound wire, and it's crimped with the appropriate sleeves. And that's something that we can touch on next, is the wire. Whenever you purchase wire, whether it be for your trolling lure or your casting lure or casting bomb, and your live bait leaders, you need to have the appropriate sleeve for the size wire that you have. So purchase the wire, and then you can look on the packaging of the wire, and it will tell you what size sleeve you need to have. So you need to buy the appropriate one. If you get the next size up, then when you crimp it down, you know, your chance of losing the fish and your hardware, that would be the result of that. So you want the correct sleeve for the wire that you have. So here's a Nomad, and it's got several bites on it, so they like that one. And big single hooks, sharp. So we're trolling around at, here's Rapala, and 200-pound wire. And with Rapalas, you can, bend this up, down, back and forth to make it so that it swims correctly. This one doesn't have any bite marks on it. So we're trolling around, for us with 25 people, we're going to have, 5 teams of 5 people would rotate every 45 minutes or something along those lines, or if there's a strike and we land a fish. So that's the trolling rotation, and it goes by your tag number. When you sign up with Callie or Celia, you get your tags. That's also your trolling number.
How long are those leaders?
These are probably 36 inches. That's what I would recommend. They might be a little shorter than that, but we'll see. Yeah, this is only 24 inches. I like them a little bit longer. But yeah, that looks to be 24 or 26, so 30 to 36 inch leader.
For casting raiders and bombs, what size wire do you recommend?
We're going to get to that. So trolling around, we get a strike, and one of the things that you can do if you weren't one of the lucky ones to get a bite trolling, you obviously need to wind the lure in, your lure or the boat lure, so that you can go get your casting outfit for bombs or casting jigs, lures, or your live bait outfit. But something that's worked for us in the past is if you weren't one of the lucky ones to get a bite, if you put your reel in free spool and just count to 10 or 15 and let that, as the boat slide continues to slide forward as we're stopping, you're going to let that lure out for another 50 or 60 feet probably. And that way, when you're winding that lure in, you're covering more area, you're covering more water with that trolling lure, and maybe there's multiple fish around, and so you have an opportunity to get a bite on the trolling lure because you're winding it in, and so there would be a chance for that. So you put the reel in free spool, count to 10 or 15, and then put it in gear and wind it in, and hopefully you get a bite on the retrieve. So that's one of our tips for trolling. Okay, so casting bombs. There's a couple different manufacturers. Purple is the color of today. Flashy, glitter, lots of bling. Spinner blades on our hooks. And so those are all attractant, Casting out with 50 or 60 pound test, and you want a 2-speed reel in high gear. I have a Boss 600 series accurate products reel with 50 or 60 pound test, and you're going to cast that out. And I have an example of a Super Seeker. This is a Super Seeker. This would be the Cadillac of Wahoo bomb casting rods. So you put 50 or 60 pound test on this. This is a 6470H. So it's really stiff. So you're going to cast your lure out there and you're going to let it sink. We typically let you know what the depth is because you don't want to let it sink to the bottom. If you're on the ridge, then you get a triggerfish or a whitefish or some sort of bottom fish. So you're just going to count to 20 or 30 and just let the lure sink, and then you're going to put the reel in gear and turn the handle as fast as you can. It's similar to yo-yo fishing, except for yo-yo fishing you're going to the bottom, but with wahoo you don't want to be near the bottom. You want to be up in the water column from, you know, if we're in 90 or 100 feet of water, then you want to be in the water column like 60 to the surface, 60 feet to the surface. So we'll let you know what the depth is so that you don't let your bomb sink too far. So, 50 or 60 pound wire would be what I would use. You can use the 7-strand with a smaller size sinker, and these have got some miles on it here. This one got a rusty hook, but it's sharp. And so this is a 24-inch leader, which is sufficient, maybe 30-inch. You don't want a 12-inch, because what we've seen in the past is that the lure, the fish bites the lure, and the weight of the casting lure or the bomb can go through the mouth and out the gill and get hooked on the side of the fish. We've seen that happen. And if your leader is too short, then maybe you get bit off. So 50 or 60 pound wire, 7-strand or single strand. So you're going to once again with the 7-strand stuff with crimps, you want to make sure you got the right size sleeve with the size wire that you have. And so with the haywire twist in this single strand, this is 58 pound wire, 60 pound wire, and we're using 50 or 60 pound test. And there's plenty of examples online on how to make this haywire twist. Here's one on the back of the package, and the single strand is effective as well. I don't have a preference one way or the other. So, we're talking flashy. You see, we got these chrome with blue reflective tape. This is old school. This is a Tatty Y2 lure. This is just a heavy, this is a candy bar, but a Salis 6X Junior or a Tatty small lure like this that's all chrome. And you can buy your own reflective tape, and you can cut it, and it comes with an adhesive back, and you can make your own version of something flashy, glitter, bling, kind of a dark with orange and black. And here's a Raider lure with pink, flashy. And the one thing that's synonymous with all of these casting lures and bombs is you'll notice a big Siwash single hook. You don't want a treble hook. You want single hook lure, single hooks on your Wahoo lures. And once again, you're going to sharpen that thing before you cast it out. So flashy, something that is going to catch their eye. One thing we found out at the Fred Hall show this year was that Raider Lures is no longer manufacturing Wahoo lures. These things really work. It's too bad. I had a customer come by and say I think I bought the last 35 Raider lures. He loves to fish wahoo, and so he bought them all up. And now this Stinger lure manufacturer now is the one that Fisherman's Landing Tackle is purchasing from. And so this is gold, flashy, great big single sharp hook. So there's a couple different schools of thought with, should I wire my casting bomb or my casting lure? Bombs, probably, yes. You know, they come, you buy them in the package and they got wire already on it. But your casting lures generally don't, so you have the option. So, wow, this lure's 25 bucks. I'm putting a piece of wire on that because my budget probably doesn't allow me to have an unlimited supply in my tackle box of these things. But there is, guys that are very serious about wahoo fishing. There is an opinion out there that you just tie that lure right to your mono and cast it out there. Well, what's the risk? Am I going to lose my flashy $25 lure because I only had monofilament? I guess that's a personal preference. I'm going to wire mine. I don't know if I buy into I'm going to get more bites without wire than with wire. And, the same goes for trolling lures. Those things are 40 bucks, 45 bucks, maybe $50 retail if they're wired up. There's a group of guys that might try a couple 100-pound leader or fluorocarbon, mono leader or fluorocarbon, but I'm going to take my chances with wire. We've done just fine with wire. So, casting lures and bombs, the method with that is you cast it out, let it sink for a little bit, and put the reel in gear and turn the handle. And there's the famous line that all of us use that you're going to wind through the bite when you get a bite. It's the same when you're yo-yo fishing, and you have to have a very snug drag with wahoo fishing. And regardless of whether you're trolling outfit or you're casting lure, you got to have a tight drag because you got to get that hook set. And they're hard to hook. They're hard to hook.
Do you recommend waiting a 5 to 10 count before pulling the jig or bomb out of the water at the boat to avoid a wahoo missile?
Yeah, and we're gonna talk towards the end about safety with that. So hold that thought. I'll answer that. I'll answer that question. So the next method is live bait with wire leaders. And a lot of time traveling, the crew and I spend some time. We make up some wire leaders. And we usually, for convenience for everybody, we put 4 or 5 of these leaders in a Ziploc bag, and you can purchase 4 or 5 leaders at once. And so, 40-pound 7-strand from Berkeley. This is uncoated. And then we're just putting a Mustad 2.0 hook. You don't want the $4 owner hook. This is the 7 or 8 cent model. And then with these, we have these small gauge swivels. Some people, you can just buy small black rings the same size as the ring on the swivel, but This is what we've been using lately. And we're fishing with 30 or 40 pound test. So you're tying your mono to that swivel. You're going to go to the bait tank and you're going to spend a little extra time at the bait tank, and you're going to cast a live bait out on the windward side. Listen up for the captain to tell you what side of the boat that is. And so that's one of the ways to have success wahoo fishing, is with live bait leaders. And once again, it's important. This is 40 pound. And it says right on the package, use the A2 standard sleeve. So here's an A2 sleeve. This is a 30-foot piece of wire and sleeves to go with it. And so you can build however many live bait leaders if you want to do that yourself. Just remember the right size sleeve with the wire. If you get the wrong size sleeve, then you're going to lose your fish. So those are the four methods: trolling, casting bombs, casting lures, and live bait. And that's the terminal tackle side of things for wahoo fishing. So a couple tricks for everybody with live bait fishing. We have found out through decades of fishing for wahoo that you cast a bait out there and you get a bite, and you put the reel in gear because you're in free spool letting your bait swim out there. You put the reel in gear and the fish is gone. Well, your live bait just turned into a chunk, because sometimes, not all the time, that wahoo will bite that bait in half and then circle back around and eat the other half. So you have to have a little patience. You get a bite, you put the reel in gear, and there's no fish on the end of it taking line. So you put the reel back in free spool and just hang out for 10 or 15 seconds, and maybe that fish circles back around and eats the other half of your bait. It's a chunk. So I guess chunking would be a way to fish too, but that's not something that that we use very often. But your live bait, when it gets bit in half, obviously turns into a chunk, whether it's the head or the tail. Hooking your bait, it's the same way as you're fishing for tuna or yellowtail. Nose hook, belly hook, shoulder hook, whatever the case may be. And so those are that's a tip for live bait fishing. Remember, change your bait regularly, and make sure that when you're going to the bait tank, you are selecting a bait. You want one that swims, and so you need a live bait to get a bite.
How about fly lining for a wahoo?
Live bait fly lining, yes, you're just tying this on your 30 or 40 pound test and you're fly lining a live bait out there, yeah. So this would be fly lining a live bait with a wire leader. Don't recommend just casting out without a wire leader, because you're going to get a bite, but obviously you're not going to get a fish. It's rare. It happens, but it's rare. Wire leaders just you save your hardware, and your chances of when you do get a bite of landing the fish go up tremendously. So, let's talk about safety. I mentioned that wahoo, we saw the examples on the trolling lures of the bite marks. They have razor sharp teeth. And so safety. Related to the question about your wahoo bomb or casting lure or trolling lure. When you wind that in, before you just raise it out of the water, you want to let it settle and count to 4 or 5 and keep your eye on that lure. You don't want to wind it in and then just bring it out of the water to recast or to put your trolling rod in the rack. You want to make sure that there's not a wahoo behind it. So safety wise, you just let your bomb or your casting lure or your trolling plug just sit there for a bit so that you don't have a wahoo jump on the boat. It's happened many times. The other thing is when we gaff your fish, we're going to kind of clear a spot behind us and make an announcement that there's a wahoo coming on board. And so one or two crew members have the gaffs in the fish, we bring it on, and then another crew member will neutralize it with a bat. And that stuns the fish. It's not flopping around on the deck because they have very, very sharp teeth, and we don't want to inadvertently get somebody cut because of that. So we hit the fish on the head with the bat, and then we strongly recommend that you let the crew member extract your hook out of the fish's mouth. So you get a bite, you get a fish, it goes on the deck, we neutralize it. We don't want you with a pair of pliers to reach down there and try and get the hook out by yourself, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times with the bat to neutralize the fish. And if you reach down there and the fish flops, then that increases your chances of pretty bad laceration from a wahoo teeth. So let us take the hooks out and let us handle the fish. Sometimes if there's multiple fish going, we'll put the fish in the box, and it doesn't get to go right in the RSW system because we're attending to other fish that are hooked, and maybe it's your first wahoo or it's your biggest wahoo and you want a picture of it. So don't just go back to the box on the back deck by the bait tank and try and reach down in the box to get your fish out. Let the crew handle that so that there's no risk of a cut from a wahoo. And then hopefully the fish is neutralized, has been laying there for a while, and you can safely pick up your fish and get a picture of a fish of a lifetime. The other thing that I recommend is, wear tennies, wear closed-toed shoes on the deck. Tivas, your toes are open, sometimes it gets hectic and there's multiple fish laying on the deck and we're out taking care of other people that have bites, and so we might leave a wahoo laying on the deck, and you don't want to stick your foot in a wahoo's mouth on the deck. So wear your extra tufts or a closed-toed shoe or sandal, and that'll protect your feet. So that's safety with wahoo fishing as far as the fish is concerned. Now the other safety item is, remember, you took the time to sharpen your hooks so that when you get a bite, that hook penetrates the jaw of the fish and you don't lose it. Well, when you're casting, you have to look behind you when you cast. My mentor, Bill Poole, used to say, keep your eye on your lure because you can't miss the ocean when you're casting. It's a Bill Poole phrase that he taught me a long time ago. Yeah, you're not going to miss the ocean, partner. He used to call everybody partner if he didn't know your first name. So look behind you when you're casting. There's a crew member running by, or somebody's following their fish, or whatever the case may be. And that goes for whatever fish you're fishing for, whether you're fly line and live baits for yellowfin tuna, or whenever you got a hook dangling back there, safety first. Look behind you when you're casting. You're not going to miss the ocean, partner. So, speaking of Bill Poole, we have a sticker on the wheelhouse window as you walk in the bridge in memory of Bill Poole. It's hard to believe that he's been gone now for 11 years. And I saw that sticker on my friend's colleague's truck the other day and made me think of Bill. I saw Don Sampson going down Rosecrans and saw he has that same sticker that we have on the wheelhouse window on the back of his truck. Bill was a mentor of his and meant a whole lot to a lot of us. So, this is the 50-year anniversary of the Searcher being in service. 5 years as the Cape Polaris, and then Bill sold it to Frank Lopresti. And Frank sold it to me a long time ago. The boat was launched in May 24th of 1970 in Newport Beach. It was constructed at the yard in Costa Mesa, Ditmar Donaldson, wooden construction. And so that's 5 decades of fish, 5 decades of wahoo hitting the deck, so lots and lots of history. And we're not going to be able to do a big celebration in person. We were planning on that, but with our situation, we're not going to be able to celebrate as we would like for the 50th anniversary, but we have a t-shirt with a 50-year logo, and that you can check out online and talk to Celia or Callie and purchase one of those. So we're doing it virtually instead, and so if you have a photo of yourself on the deck of the Searcher, or a friend of yours or family member from your archives of photos, and you want to send it to our website, we'll be happy to make a collage of the various decades, maybe put a date with it or a year or something like that. So if you have a great fishing photo that you want to email to us, we'll do a virtual celebration of the boat being 50 years old. 50 years, it's pretty remarkable. Lots of history, and what a great boat. And we want to thank you for helping us remember the Searcher's history, and thanks to Bill and Ingrid Poole for constructing the boat and putting it into service, and it was well thought out, and thanks to Frank Lopresti for giving me the opportunity to enter into a lease purchase program back in the early 80s, and so without those people, this wouldn't be possible to have this boat in service for 50 years. So we're grateful to Bill and Ingrid and Frank for making it all possible. So, do we have any questions?
What's the best time of the year? Catch wahoo.
Well, warmer water is best, and so starting in July, I know there has been times where guys do 8-day trips, 7 and 8-day trips, and there's not much to catch up here locally, so they make the trip to Alejos Rocks or the Ridge and be the first boat down there. And if the water temperature is warm enough, then you would have a chance. I think fall is the best. Late September, October, early November, there has been tremendous catches of wahoo in those months. Water warms up, and those fish move into the structure or find a kelp patty to be on. I want to say that the last trip of 2019 that Captain Mike ran that had all those wahoo was the second week in November. And so that's my favorite time for wahoo. There's always a chance whenever you're in the right conditions, water, 72 degrees or warmer than that. And so in the fall, the water gets warmer, incrementally, and maybe there's some hurricanes that pushed up some warmer water in the summer months during hurricane season. And so whenever you have warm water like that, then there's a chance to catch a wahoo, and so that's my favorite time, is October and November.
When using a wahoo lure, what pound line?
A lure, anywhere from 40 to 60 pound test. It's not a line class thing where you need to have lighter line in order to get a bite. And whatever you're comfortable with as far as casting too. And remember, you want a little bit of a top shot. Whatever you feel your longest cast might be, whether it's 50 or 60 feet or 100 feet, then you want that top shot to be that length, so that when you get to the outer reaches of your casting ability, you're not looking at a connection going through your guides off of your reel, so you want a top shot on there. So anywhere from 40 to 60 pound test. Live bait fishing, you can go, if you feeling sporty, if you want to use 25 pound test, but I would probably recommend 40 pound test. Live bait fishing, 40 pound.
Do you have an opinion on titanium wire?
I haven't used it a whole lot. I know that the guys within the fleet use that, and I spoke to Mike Lackey about that at the Long Beach show, and he feels like you get more usage out of your leader material with the titanium. But we've been using 7-strand uncoated forever, and it works well for us. So I think that everybody, when you have confidence in something of tackle, that's your go-to terminal tackle. And so, to be honest, I haven't used the titanium wire all that much, but if it wasn't good, then it wouldn't be on the market. It would be something that would maybe be a fad or something like that, but obviously it's around and people use it. I just don't have a whole lot of experience with it.
When fly lining for wahoo, is it a 2-speed or a 1-speed for you?
No, I'm a 2-speed. If you have that outfit, then if you're fishing 30 or 40 pound test and you're able to put the reel in low gear and gain line, then I'm using a 2-speed reel.
Howard Fullmer likes heavy fluoro instead of wire on wahoo lures. What's your thought on that?
Well, Howard, if you've got plenty of lures in your box, then I guess that's what works for you, and you're comfortable with losing a lure or two because you only have fluoro or heavy mono, then that's something, like I said earlier, that people use, and I know that it works for some people, but I'm thinking that I don't want to invest a bunch of money on lures, and I'd rather have it wired up. So thanks for the question, Howard.
Rigging with lures for trolling.
Well, this is 200 or 250 pound wire leader, and this is uncoated 7-strand with the appropriate crimp, and you can see that the size loop that's variable. I mean, it doesn't really make that much difference. So this is a 1-inch loop. You could have it longer than that. I wouldn't want to make it any shorter than that, because then the lure can have full action for whatever it's doing back there. And then this heavy size black swivel. You don't want a chrome swivel because they're going to bite that swivel. We see that a lot. So you want a heavy black swivel, and then your 80-pound test on your heaviest outfit that you have. And you know, once again, if you're bringing a heavy outfit, I'm sure it's going to be a 2-speed outfit. You know, Penn International, Accurate Products, Twin Drags, Shimano Talicas. So yeah, heavy outfit, 80-pound tested.
When fishing with a 2-speed reel, when should you switch gears during the fight?
I think that if you leave it in high gear at the beginning so that you're gaining line constantly, and then you get to the point where when you're in high gear you stop gaining line, then that's the time to switch to low, so that you can gain line. So that would be the appropriate time. You know, with wahoo fishing, that's something. They're crazy fish. They're very, very fast, fastest fish in the ocean, they say. And so, you know, there are times when the fish runs at you, and so you want to be in high gear at the beginning so that you can gather line and not give that fish any slack. So I'm probably leaving the reel in high gear until I stop gaining line, and then I'm going to push the button or the lever or whatever, depending upon the reel manufacturer that you use. Then I'm going into low gear, and that way I can gain line.
What size hooks are we using for wahoo?
Well, wow, these are like 9.0 or 10.0 hooks on a trolling lure. Bigger, and these are probably 7 to 9.0 Siwash hooks on a bomb or a casting lure. And I don't think Siwash is a manufactured name. It's just it's a type of hook. I don't know where it originated, but your local tackle store can show you the right single hook. And you know, if you're looking for a casting wahoo lure, then it's going to have a single hook already on it. Same with the bombs. And live bait, you know, we're using 2.0, 3.0 live bait hooks, and that can vary depending upon the size of the bait that you have. I mean, you know, last year we had the like 4 to 6 inch baits, and so, you know, a 2.0 hook would probably be okay. You could go down to 1.0, but you know, when you're traveling, you're making up a bunch of these leaders, so I guess you could have, you know, a pack of wire leaders with 2.0s and 1.0s if you wanted to. Or if, you know, the bait's giant, then you could go up in hook size. But you know, 2.0 just as a general live bait hook size is perfect.
Do you ask anglers to hold off on casting out after a jig strike until the boat slides for a short while?
We ask, but we don't get a very good response because everybody's eager, and so, you know, the throttles get pulled back, and there's this umbrella of gear going over the side. And that's okay. It's just a case of, you know, staying on top of your line and knowing where your line is. That's probably key to the whole thing. You know, there's 25 people on board sometimes, and then we have those ultra limited load trips with 14 people, and so there's not a concern with that. I think it's you know, if you if you wait a little while, you know, the boat's not really going to go that far, and you know, the fish are kind of dispersed in the area, and they're not necessarily in the stern. You know, all the fish aren't all gathered back there by the trolling lures. And so if you wait, you know, a minute or something like that before you cast out, then, you know, the possibility of getting, you know, as the boat moves forward and your line's going back, then you're less likely to get in a tangle with the trolling fish. So, you know, that helps the person that has the fish on the troll. You don't want to saw that $40 lure off and lose the fish too, so you can help the people that are in the trolling group by pausing for a minute before you cast out. That just helps with, you know, keeping your line straight. It limits tangles, or helps limit tangles. So yeah, pause a little bit.
What size braid did you say, in hollow or solid?
I didn't. So with the with your 80-pound trolling lure, you're going to have at least 100-pound braid on there, and I think that the solid is fine. The hollow, if you're using hollow braid for big tuna, so that you can use the crimping style to put your wind-on leader on. But solid is fine. I guess it's a perfect personal preference for rigging purposes. And so with the trolling lure, you're using 100 or 135 pound braid. With the casting lures, you're probably using 80 pound. And with live bait, you're using 60 or 65 pound braid. So that would cover all your bases: trolling, casting lures, casting pumps, and live bait.
When fighting a wahoo, do you pump like you do with a tuna, or do you just wind?
The one thing with the wahoo's jaw, as tough as it is, it's bone. It's bone. It's a tough thing. So if you can just, you know, put your rod in your rod butt holder at the beginning, but when you start to turn the handle, or under your arm, we would prefer that you just continue to turn the handle and not pump, because, you know, the motion would be, if you're turning the handle and you're pumping up and down, when you go down, if you don't gather line, then, you know, you're giving just a little bit of slack. So if you are, you know, using the drag system within the reel and you're turning the handle, then you're continually gaining line. And of course, with 2-speed reels, that makes it happen a little easier. And so we would prefer that you don't pump. And all the regulars are laughing at me right now, saying, of course you don't pump. If you pump, you get yelled at by Art from the upper deck. Don't pump, just whine. So that's one of the famous sayings, and I don't think that it's only on the Searcher. I think that everybody yells at you to not pump, just whine. Turn the handle.
Do you know if Fisherman's Landing will rig up a lure for you?
Absolutely. The guys at Fisherman's Landing Tackle, they're all service. They will be happy to rig your trolling lure. They'll be happy to show you the haywire twist for your Wahoo bombs or your casting lures. You know, if you wanted to, you could go in there and purchase the single strand wire and a lure and say, hey, would you rig that up for me? And they're happy to do that sort of stuff. Their customer service at Fisherman's Landing Tackle is superb. It's a great tackle store.
Do we specify on our schedule what trips are going to fish wahoo?
We don't specify a Wahoo trip. We have 2 8-day trips at the end of the schedule for 2020 that are in November, and the request was, you know, Wahoo fishing. And you know, at the end of November, you know, the fishing at Guadalupe Island can be good, but you know, there was a core group of people and one charter group that wanted to lengthen the trip by a day and go to the ridge or the rocks as an option to fish Wahoo. So those 2 trips. And, you know, there's, you know, plenty of 7-day ultra limited load trips on the schedule as well. And there would be a chance. You know, I would hate in May to say that if you're going on the Penn trip 7 days in the middle of September with Steve Carson, that you're going to go, yeah, book a spot on the Penn 7-day trip. We're going to go fish Wahoo. I wouldn't want to do that. So, you know, based on conditions, based on fishing, and fishing spots, what's happening with the rest of the fleet. You know, we're all operating and going back and forth between Guadalupe Island, and some guys are going to the ridge or the rocks, and so there's, you know, we have this great network of long range boats that we pass information on to everybody about what's going on where. So, you know, we may know when you get down here to check in where we're headed based on the last trip's catch or what's going on out on the grounds. So it's not possible to specify, with the exception of those 2 trips in November.
Does color lure matter?
No, I think it probably, to a certain extent, it does. You know, obviously the 3 bombs that I selected are all purple. This catchy tackle's got a dark head with a red eye. I mean, I don't think you need to get that specific. It's like I said, it's about bling. It's about, you know, something flashy out there. You know, these, in the past with Raider, they had gold and silver, and gold with blue reflective tape sometimes works, and then gold with no reflective tape, or chrome. I think you got to have an assortment of colors. This orange and black trolling lure, this Tony the Tiger, for a long time now has been a very, very popular color, and Wahoo seem to bite it. And that, you know, these Yozuri Marauders, they come in black and purple, and so this Nomad, this pink thing, in the past couple of years has kind of been the hot color, and it's all about, you know, being flashy. But pink has been a color that has worked really, really well. So I guess, you know, you can check the blog if we're Wahoo fishing, and, you know, we'll put a little tidbit on the blog on what color's been working the best, so that we can pass that information on before you get on the boat, so that you have the right gear. So check the blog.
How do you feel about setting the hook on jigs or bombs after the rod loads up? I think that if the fish is taking line and the rod is bent, loaded up is the term that you used, can be a good thing to do. But we're hoping that, you know, you have a sharp hook and you have the correct drag setting on the reel, and that is going to set the hook for you. You can do it. I guess the apprehension to that is when
when you set the hook, are you gathering line after you set the hook correctly? Or is the fish still taking line? And are you going to give that fish just that little bit of slack that the lure falls out of the fish's mouth? So it's something that you could do, but you know, it's all about drag setting and making sure you have a snug drag, and you know, the rod loading up and the line going through the water, and the fact that you have a sharp hook is probably the formula that you want to use, and not necessarily setting the hook.
Question about what to bring on, for example, a 7-day trip. Reference back to our website, like personal items and...
Yeah, so you can go on the Searcher Sport Fishing website, and there is, you know, the trips drop down, and there's tackle suggestions, and there's kind of a list of personal items that you should have, and so you can reference the website and get all that info.
Penny from Fisherman's Landing Tackle says to say what's up.
It's
J hook or circle hook for Wahoo?
I'm just using a J hook. Yeah, nothing too fancy. Yeah, I'm just using a J hook because I have a wire leader, so there's no abrasive part of catching a fish. I got a wire leader on, so I don't need a circle hook. It's a J hook. So I think we're close to being out of time. We want to thank everybody for joining us again. Yes, Celia?
Wendy T says, change your bait.
Change your life. Wow, we miss you guys, and we're looking forward to getting back out there. And thank you so much for joining us, and searchersportfishing.com or 619-226-2403. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.